Welcome to the Rising for Women podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Merlo-Booth, and I believe the world will be changed for women when we change how we walk in it. So each week, we're going to have hard conversations. We're going to explore new options. Some of them are going to be hard options, and we're going to have some real straight talk. We're going to do that because I have faith that women can handle it. Hey, you all. Welcome to the Rising Podcast for Women with your hosts, Lisa Merlo-Booth, Dee Marcotte, and Arlene Newman. And today our topic is asking for what you want. So let's jump in. Let's start with, where are women going awry? When they're communicating, when there's something they want or need, what are women doing that is just not helping them? What are we seeing?
Well, I see all the time this idea about expecting you should want what I want, expecting you to know what I want or how to look, or so there's all of these expectations, expecting that you would want to do it.
That's so funny because those are two different things and they're both so prevalent. So one, like, you know, if I want to go on a trip, you of course should too. And then the other one is, if I'm looking at the kitchen and I'm thinking it's a mess and it should be cleaned, you should read my mind and know that I'm thinking, oh, that kitchen needs to be cleaned.
Yeah. And
I'm going to be pissed if you
don't. You should look at it and have the same observation and feeling as I do.
Right. Yes.
And when you don't, then there's something really wrong with you.
There's something wrong with you. Yeah, there is. It's like, what is your problem? How do you not see this?
How do you not see that?
Yes. This is women. First off, they're not going to read your mind. I don't care if you're with a woman or a man or trans, cis, non-cis. I don't care who you're with, any human being. They are not going to be able to read your mind. And if they do, it's a freak accident. And it's a gift in that moment. Stop expecting them to read your mind, one. And two, the beauty of being in a relationship is you are two different human beings with different feelings, different wants, different needs, different personalities. So the idea that they need to want what you want is, first off, it's going to be boring. Second off, it's just not realistic. So they don't want what you want, and that's okay. And you don't need to want what they want, and that's okay. And you can't read their mind, even if you think you can, you shouldn't be. And they can't read their mind, and even if they think they can, they shouldn't be. So
and they don't see what you see. They don't see, they can be looking at the same thing you're looking at. They don't see what you see.
Exactly. Oh, you're looking at the kitchen and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that kitchen is a total wreck. And your partner's looking at the kitchen and they're like, wow, I really love the floors. I like that we did the, and it's both okay. It's both okay. Yeah. So
He's not wrong. He's not wrong because he doesn't see what you see. And you're not wrong because
you're not. No. It's the beauty of four eyes. Four eyes see more than two. So like, see it as a gift. The other thing that I see with women and communication is like their communication is so wonky in terms of like, it's so indirect sometimes that you have no idea what they're really saying. They're kind of like half putting it out there, but not really putting it out there. And then they're getting mad about something that they didn't really put out there.
It's vague and general. That's what I see. Women tend to be extremely vague and make these big global statements. And I see, especially with men, looking at them like, I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know what she wants from me. I have no clue.
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
the hinting, like, oh gosh, it's so hard I'm always cleaning the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, well, then they should know that.
Right. Well, and when you're saying that, like, oh, I always cleaning the kitchen, your partner might be like, yeah, you should stop. Stop. just stop. Gosh, I'm not always cleaning the kitchen. It feels much better this way.
Yeah, like I'm not worrying about that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or better yet, they don't say anything. They just ignore you because they don't know. They feel something. They don't know what they feel. They don't feel good. They ignore you. And then you get pissed.
And then you get pissed that they're not listening to you, that they're not listening to
Getting
something
you.
you're not saying.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not doing what I didn't ask for.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, totally. We do this all the time. And we get so angry about it, but it's honestly, it's not fair. It's about slowing down. The other thing women do, and we just talked about this in our last podcast, is they get super critical. They can get very self-righteous and very critical. And instead of really cleanly asking for what they want, it's like, what is the matter with you? You're a slob. Don't you ever, you never come home on time. You don't love this family. And so there's just a lot of criticism, and that's just a setup. It's a setup for a bad interaction. It's a setup for bad feelings on your part because you're in this righteous place, and unless they see it your way and are going to do it exactly the way you want it, there's no way it's going to be fixed. And chances of them, as we already said, of them seeing it your way and wanting it the exact same way is slim to none. So it's really a setup for you and for them. But that's the other one.
And I think with that part, there's also like, then what gets tagged onto it is clearly you don't care.
That's exactly right. They get hurt underneath because they feel it's coming from an uncaring place.
Yes.
The intention is, we ascribe the intention, which doesn't hardly ever have anything to do with it. But
well, and the thing I always say to my clients is, listen, whenever you're assuming intentions, they are 99.9% of the time negatively skewed. Seldom are we assuming the best of intentions. Oh, he really meant to do it. He just could. That is never what we're doing. We're like that.
Wait. Well, no, we do that when we are excusing bad behavior. Then we ascribe positive intention.
Oh, that's so true. How sad, right? That's a whole nother podcast.
Right.
So, when it comes to communicating, no assuming bad intentions. Okay, so that's a lot of examples that we see time and time and time again. I mean, in our 20 years plus of practice, we have seen this stuff ad nauseum. Show me a woman who's struggling with communication, and almost guaranteed she's doing some or many of these, right? So, okay, why not keep doing them? What's the cost? One, why are women doing this? And why not keep doing it? Because obviously it's serving them, or they wouldn't keep doing it on some level. And what's the cost?
Well, to me, it's again, some of what we've talked about in past podcasts is that, like, it's the idea of, well, I don't want them to get mad. I want them to like me. I want them, they won't do it anyway. That, like, there's kind of a variety of things. Plus, it's kind of like a 50s throwback. Like, I'm completely in charge of the house, and I'm going to be mad because we're here today, but I'm deciding I have to do all these things, but then nobody's helping me. So it's kind of like I have this 50s concept, but I'm pissed off that I have to do everything today. And then I get really resentful and, passive aggressive or critical or controlling.
You're kind of caught in two paradigms, right? It's like, it's like the women, the new women. No, women, we're empowered. We want to do this. But then there's a part, but I have to keep my house exactly clean the way I used, like from the 50s.
Right.
And so you're caught in this like freaky kind of paradigm shift, but you haven't really bought into it, or you're actually not fully stepping into the new. Interesting.
Well, I was thinking more about the 50s, and that women in the 50s did not have a voice, and they did not know how to be direct, and they couldn't afford to be direct because they couldn't take care of themselves. So I think some of that is still just what we've always done to survive, is
Yeah.
not be direct, because it can be very threatening, and it can appear to be aggressive and labeled as aggressive or bitchy or
Yeah.
very negative. So I think women really are not, they don't have the skills a lot of times to really be direct about what they personally want.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure how entitled a lot of women feel, like healthily entitled
Yeah.
to get their needs met.
Mhm.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sadly seeing this in really young women in their 20s and 30s. And I had so much hope for them. I thought like they're going to do it so much better than we did.
Mhm.
And they're not talking to their friends. They're not being honest with their friends. They're not having conversations. They're like, conflict avoidant. And then they just like move off to the next friendship, or they're moving off to the next relationship. It's like, oh my gosh. So you're so right, Arlene. We don't know these skills. We don't have them. It's very hard in our world today to see. We hear a lot of women, don't take that, don't take that. You need to tell them, but okay, show me how, tell me what to do. And on some level, and I believe this for everybody, male, female, married, not married, you do what works. And in the moment, it works. So in the moment, them not making a direct request, okay, they get to miss the fight. They get to miss the upset, right? So if I'm going to ask him and he's going to say no, that's going to piss me off way more than me not asking him and just doing it myself, right? And so there are short-term gains for doing all of the communication patterns that we just said are wrong. But the long-term hit is significant. The long-term hit goes everywhere, from loss of self, loss of marriage, struggles in families, resentment. There's so many long-term hits that I think women aren't slowing down to pay attention to until it's so far gone that they don't recognize themselves anymore, or the marriage is so far gone they can't get it back because of years of this stuff.
Years of resentment, built up resentment. It's
Yeah.
very toxic.
Right.
Mhm.
It's so toxic.
And I hear a lot. I don't think there's a woman that comes into my office that doesn't say, I'm just exhausted.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is part of why you're exhausted.
Right. Okay. So let's look at, well, what do they need to be doing different? What is, how should women be communicating in a way that is, with a grounded, powerful strength that is healthy? And women, we want to be really clear. We're only talking about your side of the equation here. We're going to tell you, here are 4 key tips that you need to know to communicate successfully. That does not mean that the men and women in your lives are either going to do what you say, agree to it. They're going to be like, you don't have control over on the other side. You only have control over your side. But right now you got to clean your side up. Women, we as a whole have to get, we got to be walking in that grounded, powerful strength, because it's killing us. And so here's some tips on how to do that. Let's change it up and start doing it a little bit cleaner, a little bit more powerfully, and see what happens. See what happens.
Okay, powerful does not mean reactive and loud.
Right.
Powerful means clear, grounded, strong from inside.
Yes. Grounded, powerful strength. Right? It's power from within, not power over. So the first thing you need to do is get yourself grounded. You don't like something, don't be reactive. Don't be, shaming them, criticizing them, yelling at them. Don't get yourself grounded. Take a deep breath, right? Tune in, figure out, get clarity. What is it that's bugging me? What is it that I need? What is it that I'm asking for?
Mm-hmm.
All starts there. You have to first get grounded, center yourself, and get clarity before you ever speak. If that takes you a week, take the week, right?
Can we just stop for 1 second and just
Yeah.
speak a little bit about what does that mean to be reactive? You know, what does it feel like to be reactive? What do women do when they're reactive so they can start to be discerning about where they are? So when they're all heated up and they can't stop the words from coming out, that is not the time to be speaking.
Right, right. When your heart's going really, really fast, when you can feel your body tense, when you're like, the hair on the back of your neck is like just and you either are feeling like you want to shut down or you want to blow up. What you really need to do, and I say that
attack, you want to attack.
You want to attack, yeah.
Tell them what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Tell them how they messed up. Tell them how they hurt you. Blame them. You are in reactivity.
You're in reactivity.
But you're talking about the reactivity that's external. And I really want us to be clear that that could all be going on inside.
Yes.
You may not be speaking it outside,
Mhm.
but you're going to take it out and then somehow.
Yeah.
So it might be passive aggressive, it might be whatever. So you can be loud or you can be really, really quiet.
Yes.
And still be reactive. I would say if like you didn't clean up the dog poop is here, but whatever I'm feeling internally and then doing externally is here. Like internally or externally, where I'm kind of like, I can't believe it made it from blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like, okay, I gotta wait till I come back down to this. And I think the other piece of that is we're talking about this in the moment,
Yes.
not 20 things from 20 years of relationship.
Right. This one issue on this day in this moment is the issue I'm speaking to, I want to respond to. And I don't care if this issue has happened 1,000 days before. I'm talking about this issue on this day at this moment, because it's going to be much more effective. They can hear it better. I can speak it better. And
so how you're speaking right now, Lisa, is really what you're modeling, right? That tone, that kind of calmness, that kind of clarity. There's no control in it. It's just, this is where I am. This is what I want. This is what I'm asking for.
Yeah, how I talk about that is, I like that is a grounded, powerful strength, right? It's matter of fact, but I also talk about speaking it clean. And speaking it clean means you are respectful. Your words are clean. I'm not shaming them. I'm not criticizing them. My energy is clean. I don't have the energy of contempt. I don't have the, like, so often, women and men, their energy is about, yo, you're so stupid. Even though they're not saying the word stupid, the energy is, what is the matter with you? And you don't want that energy. You've got to be very, very clean on your end, on how you're speaking, just your whole body. And it's what Dee said, the reactivity, if this is the issue, but your reactivity is up here, even if your reactivity, like for me, when I was younger, my response was to shut down. I didn't escalate. I would go inward and I would wall off and I wouldn't, they would feel it. And so even that is being reactive. Like I was not in my right mind. I was just like, you SOB, you just hurt me and now screw you. And so that's that reactivity. You feel it in your body. It just feels intense. You're so mad or so hurt. And with that, the first thing you need to do, part of getting grounded is recognizing that you're not grounded, first off, right? It's also about, I need to take some space, not to think about the issue that's pissing me off. I need to take some space to think about calming myself down, right? I can't be thinking about, I can't believe he did da, 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 da. Like that's just going to keep me revved up. So if I know I'm reactive, I need to stop, pull away and be like, okay, Lisa, get grounded. All right. You need a clean energy right now. This is not going to help you. Okay. What's the issue that you need to talk about? You need to do this clean. Right. And I'm working me. So then I can come in and I can do my direct ask, which is one of the tips. That's the other tip. You've got to do it directly. So what does that mean when we're telling them directly or laser it, or how do we talk about that piece?
Well, I think one piece is if you're going to laser it and be direct, you can't say a sentence and then have 5 paragraphs afterward that explain.
Why not?
Well, because they're not listening anymore.
The message will be lost.
Yeah, they're not listening. And it's also recognizing, if you find that grounded space, that this is something you want, you don't have to explain it. You get to want it. I don't know that you necessarily get it, but you don't have to explain it, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to justify it.
Pardon?
What?
You don't have to justify it.
Yeah.
You can just put it out.
So explain a little bit about, you don't have to explain it, because I'm thinking somebody's like, well, how do I ask if I don't explain? Like, so let's tell them the difference between like a direct ask and an explanation, just so they get a feel of what that is.
Well, for me, a direct ask would be, honey, I would like you to do the vacuuming today.
Yep.
Versus, you know, for the last 10 years, I have been doing the vacuuming. And with my doing the vacuuming, and then I have to do this, and then I have to, and you know, you don't do anything around here. So, so it seems to me that you could be supportive.
Well, and you know what's so funny about that, Dee? Even at the end, it seems to me you can be supportive, by the way, is not an ask.
It's not an ask.
It's not an ask. They could be supportive by picking up their legs while you vacuum.
Yeah, there's no,
I'm supportive. I support you in all these ways. It's
Right.
message is lost.
It's lost. Yeah.
You can't use, I say you can't use big words, even if they're small. You have to be kinder.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, like, what's my picture of that? How would you and I know you're doing it?
And it occurred to me that it's a little bit like speaking to a child who is ADD. You know, they always say, don't give them more than one thing to focus on, because they won't be able to do it.
Right.
And I think that's a good model. You know, just ask for the one thing that you really want.
Right.
Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't, but at least you put it out there and they have a chance to respond. And from my experience, when you put it out there that clearly and cleanly, you have a good chance of getting it, because usually your partner wants to give you what you want, if they know what it is.
And this is true in every relationship in your life. This is true with your friendships. This is true at work. This is true, you know, it doesn't matter with your family. Ask one, speak it clean, be direct, right? The more clear you are with what you want and what you're asking for, the better they are able to deliver it.
And with that speaking it directly, it's also like, when do you want it done? I would really like you to vacuum and have it done by the end of today.
Yeah. Tie it up.
Yes, so that you're not every hour going, so are you going to do it? See, I knew you weren't going to do it. So,
Yes.
like,
and the other thing, you know, that just reminded me, what I see a lot of women do is they ask something and they want it done right then.
yes.
That's a little bit entitled. And it's a little arrogant. Like, just because you want it done right now, hey, will you take the trash out right now, this minute? It's like, no, like, they're in their lives, they're in their bubble. Like, be really, have grace with what you're asking. It's okay if you're saying, hey, before bed tonight, do you think you can do this? Great. But right now, unless like somebody's dying or something, really save those emergency asks for things that are really emergency, because it's just a little bit entitled. It's a little bit like the world has to be according to you, and that's not fair. So give other people room and space. That includes your children, your spouses. I don't care who it is.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's controlling. It's controlling and
yes.
demanding, and it doesn't go well. It's not received well.
Right. Okay. Oh, and one other thing with this is appreciate. If they give it to you, if they give you part of it, say thank you. Say thank you. Because they heard you, they're trying, they may not do it perfect the way you want them to do it. And if you want them to do it more and hear you more, you will need to appreciate when they do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and only thank you. Not thank you, and the next time, blah, 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 blah. Like when you're doing the thank you, just the thank you.
Yeah. So hard for some.
Let them know that you see them. Let them know that you appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
And acknowledge, because they need it and we need it. So if you give it, they might give it back.
Totally. Okay, so let's wrap it up. For just who wants to summarize the tips real quick, just so they're clear?
I can do that. So first, get grounded, calm yourself down, figure out what you really want to say about this particular incident.
Mm-hmm.
You want to laser it, short sentences, be direct. What is it actually that you want? And be respectful while you're doing it.
Yep.
And then appreciate when you get it.
Awesome. All right, so practice this over the next week. Check it out. The first challenge, as always, is get conscious. Pay attention to some of the things that we were saying. Pay attention to the way women communicate that just are work against them. It's not helpful. And then try one piece, whether it's lasering or whether it's getting grounded first, or it's speaking it clean. Focus on one piece and see how it feels and see what difference it makes. All right, anything for the men? Sometimes we used to give like challenges for men. I feel like we haven't done that in a while.
That's true.
So men, I would say if there's a way that the women in your life is speaking to you that you don't like, respectfully ask them to say it in a different way. And you can say, hey, I really want to hear you, but I can't hear. Can you say that in a different way? Right? So just give them a chance to see themselves and try it different, but don't bark back at them or ignore them or get really angry about it. Just you stand up for yourselves in a clean way and you speak it clean to them and say, hey, that felt really harsh. Can you just, say that in a different way? Because I really want to hear you. And let's see what happens.
Okay.
All right.
Hey.
Thank you. That's if you guys like this, share it, pass it along. If you have questions or thoughts or comments, we'd love to have them. Please, share them with us. And here's to great communication over the following week. Let's see if it shifts. Take care. Thank you again for joining us this week. And always remember, you have the power to change the world for women by changing how you walk in it. I challenge you to choose one way to stand in your grounded, powerful strength this week and be part of the ripple of change.